So we've laid down a couple of pegs. We've spoken of the love in and between and with the Father, Son and Spirit and their oneness, and you can't split that up. It's one thing we've done. The next thing we've done is we've spoken of their pre-creation purpose and the fact that scriptures in the Bible speak about before creation. If that doesn't, in a sequential causal way do your head in, it should. Again, we'll just say it again. The scriptures from before creation that speak about the purpose of creation, and if you're in creation, those scriptures should be guiding your thinking. It's like having blueprints for me doing that retaining wall and flattened area. They told you what I was doing and why, not your interpretation of my anger when I get it wrong or won't work or things are harder, or you can pick on different things and come to the wrong conclusion. But we don't do that as humans. We get it right the whole time. No, we don't. So one way of thinking of that is that in typing, I touch type very poorly but adequately as a GP, as a family doctor, right? And I can be touch typing there, talking with somebody, and I might move my fingers over by one dot, not taking notice of the little nipples on those keys, which are the, whatever keys they are, the F and the J, and move my fingers over, and I'm going, yeah, talking away, and I look up and I've got paragraphs of right numbers of letters and spaces roughly, and gobbledygook. Totally nonsensical, right? If you move your thinking from who Father, Son and Spirit are, if you move your thinking from their purpose and you move it across into your purpose and your thinking, you'll construct, like my typing, gobbledygook. You'll have sequence, you'll argue it, you'll have spaces, you'll have all the logical causal structures. You'll be so flippant, arrogant and right and wrong. If you start from the wrong place, you'll end up with the wrong answer. Just think that through, and it's staggering. We've got these scriptures from before creation. How is that possible? That does my head in. Okay. In the beginning was the Word was with God, the Word was God, He was in the beginning with God. All things were made through Him, and without Him nothing was made. So we have Father, and we have Son, and we have Spirit, and they're one, and the entire universe is going to be on the outside of God. Is that right? Is it possible to be on the outside of God? Greek philosophy starts there. Greek philosophy starts with God over here and matter over here, and they're eternally separated, and God influences matter and makes creation. Matter's eternal. No. Matter came out of nothing in the middle of God. There's no outside to God. This is the frame that our theology exists in, because that has separation in it. This is the frame of union. Western understanding comes out of here, and they carry that forward. They say matter will slide through to hell, and God will slide through to heaven. And when you're in matter and you're made, your job is to somehow get back to God, because you're separated. No, that's a lie. That's the fundamental lie. The truth is you're made in Father, Son and Spirit. One step more, you're interpenetrated by Zoe. Wow. Now, we now are entering the love story of the lover. Which one of the Father, Word and Spirit are going to become human? The Word. The Word's called Yeshua Messiah, Jesus Christ, right? Okay, is the Father going to become human? No. Is the Spirit going to become human? Who's going to become human? The Word. So we're entering the story of the Word of Jesus Christ, right? We're entering this story And he is never without the Father and the Spirit. So everything is made inside him, and everything is sustained in him. It's held together by him. There we have the beginning of the turning over of the paper. Everything was made in, through, by, for, with, in the Word, and exists in and is sustained by him. We do not have life in ourselves. You keep driving this life in ourselves, Bruce. It's a bit painful. You're telling me that, my desires and my flow in me, they might have good origins and I might be twisting them. Yeah. You're telling me that, swing the camera over here, Michael. You're telling me that, and we'll get onto this later, that we might even be so dark that we've got life coming out of our darkness that actually makes thorough death, yes? You're telling me, paradoxically, that the life of Jesus holding the universe, when it's combined with me, makes death, yes? Why does he put up with that? We wouldn't. We'd clean up the little bugger, wouldn't we? We'd slap him around, maybe knock him off. We'd do something. Would you sit alongside a universe that's taking your life and torturing each other with it and not control them, but try and get underneath them and work it from the bottom up? No, we wouldn't do it. But then we're not Father and Word and Spirit, and we're not their love. Right, so we come forward into this, that everything is made through and sustained in this being, and that which was made in him was life. Again, the comma has been moved. You can read it as a tautomere. All things were made through him, and without him nothing was made that was made, a tautomere. John in the prologue is highly succinct. There are no tautomers. But we moved the comma and made it a tautomere in the fight against the Arians. All right? So you can read it that way, and that's just saying, look, everything that was made in, through, by the Word was made by, through, for, with him. Everything that was made. You can emphasise it. And that's true. That's true. Everything was made. But don't leave that reading alone. Bring the comma back. That which was made in him was life. Creation has a gift of life in itself. And this is desperately needed to understand biology. It's desperately needed to understand the field structures within nature. It's desperately needed to understand how acupuncture works. It's desperately needed to understand so many things that we're blind to because we've shut off this meaning. But it was there. And if you go and read, this is an ancient Christian text, commentary on John by Cyril of Alexandria. And I first came across it in this book. And when I read it, because Stuart Johnson introduced me to it, my head fell off. I was looking and said, what? Can it possibly say that? Why would it say that? That which came into being, in it was life. This is the early church reading of John. One of the early church fathers had produced a commentary on John. It's not our modern commentaries on John. And after the fight with the Arians, they changed the comma. I understand why they did it. The Orthodox are far wiser than the Western church. They read both. They understand that both are correct.
It's a period.
It's a period, sorry. Period. Yep, it's a full stop, yep. Now, and the life was a lot of them. So let's read the right-hand column. The Word, the pre-incarnate Jesus, came from before the beginning in the source. He's to face with Dad and Spirit. He is God, they are love. All creation is made in and through him. Love creates all, love gives life, love gives creation. This is the kicker. Creation has a gift of life in itself. And that is the life of Zoe, which is the uncreated life of Christ. My goodness. You can see why the arguments then, they'd say creation is God, become pantheists. They have arguments both ways. Perichoresis, where we're in distinction and in union together, you can understand the flow of life. Their life and their life coming through us is our light. All life is held together in and by Christ and is given like his life. Life without love is darkness. Okay, let's just say, start with sexuality. A person has a desire for the flow of sex and they undertake the flow of sex without love and they hurt somebody. That's the flow of life in darkness. Pretty simple understanding. You can do the same flow of life in love. Darkness cannot comprehend love. Back to what somebody was saying when they said, yeah, Bruce, the Father, Son and Spirit are in everybody, and yet Jesus comes and he says he's the only one who knows God. So what's the gap? That's our great darkness. We have a great darkness in the human race. We cannot see what is. Thank God for Jesus. Okay, so everything was made. Now, Colossians 1, the second verse, for in him, in the Greek it's an en, which is in. It's written, translated as by him. For by him all things were made. No, that's how a Western English translation. No. In him. You see the difference? Huge. For in him all things were created that are in heaven, on earth, visible, invisible, whether thrones or dominions or principalities or powers. All things were created through him and for him. Hebrews, we understand the worlds were framed by the word of God. All things were made through him, and without him nothing was made. John. Now, sustaining. Are we over here on our own? No. That which came into being, in it was life. For in him we live and move and have our being, Acts 17. And he is before him all things, and in him all things consist. So you've got three measures of distinction and being sustained. Father, Son and Spirit have life in themselves. They share their life as they share themselves. They are one. In contrast, we as creation don't possess life in itself, but we're sustained by them. Now, this is a very, very, very big distinction, and we come into understanding Zoe and our life. And this word life is Zoe. And we're just going to go through it here. Now, here's how Cyril split up the Greek. For those of you who read the Greek, on the left, that's the Greek language. For those of you who read English, on the right, that's your language. For those who read both, you can work it out. I'm being cynical, sorry. All things came to be through him, and without him not one thing came to be. That which came into being, in it was life, this is Cyril, and the light was the light of all people. All things were made through him, and without him nothing was made. There's the repetition that was made. In him was life, and the life was the light of men. So, very simple understanding of how we got into this situation. But what we start missing is the fact that Jesus holds all things together. and he gives life to all things. And if you don't understand that, you're then going to have problems with darkness. You won't be able to work darkness out, because darkness is not the lack of light. Darkness is where you've got the life of Christ coming through, but you cannot see the love. And the light shines in the darkness. Now, if I put my hand up on this screen, the light is not shining where... I could make a dog, couldn't I? We're having fun here. If I put my hand up there, there's no light where my hand is. It's saying the opposite. It says the light shines in the darkness. So it's saying, you're blind. Bruce, you're blind. You've been shone on by the love of Christ, but you can't see it. You're blind. So darkness is the inability to comprehend or see the light. And this is where it gets interesting. Darkness has life in it, so it will have drive, direction, passion, and be intentional because it's got life. It's pretty simple, isn't it? The only thing missing is love. A few songs say that, don't they? What the world needs now, but it's come to us in the person and being of God in us, and we still don't get it yet, but we are getting it. Now, that which came into being was life, and this is in us, flowing out of us. If I live life in love, that's light. And it's interesting, that makes more life. Just so, life lived in love makes more life. That's nice. But this is what I can do. I can become blind in my head to love. Does the life stop flowing? Is some of the output still beautiful? Yes. Coloured? Yes. And you can look at the different nations of the world with all our different blindnesses and all the different cultures emerging. They're not necessarily wrong. Isn't this interesting? Whose life are we twisting? Whose life are we flying with? Does it start with us? What are we responsible for? The blindness. The life was the light of men. The life shines in the darkness, and the darkness did not comprehend it. Life, lived in partial light, creates partial life. Partial light is partial love. Life is given. Life is given. Zoe is given to creation. Our participation with love governs the output. Love, life, light. And then we've got this thing called darkness where we don't get it. So, there is no separation. There is only blindness to the love, life, light of Father, Son and Spirit. Blindness is darkness. There is no lack of intellect. There is no lack of will or intent or desire in darkness. And if you look at the word in Greek, it's got all that. When it says the darkness does not extinguish or comprehend, there's bits where it will not overtake and it cannot stop, but it's trying to. So darkness, as you meet darkness, you would have all met somebody at some stage of life who was a highly competent but very dark person and doing some terrible things and highly capable. And that person discovers love and discovers Christ in them. All those capabilities flow in the right way. That's true. Oh, you're not telling me anything I don't know, Bruce. But why is it so hard for us to apply it to a global structure? For me, for you, our flesh, the word became flesh, our flesh is our darkness. So we're going to be examining, once we finish these 8 non-negotiables, we're going to be examining how Jesus dealt with the flesh, the factory, the thing that twists the life. Oh, that makes sense. Because the life is given, the flesh twists the life in darkness. Oh, that makes sense. The definition of the flesh becomes clearer and the work of Jesus becomes clearer. Because Jesus is aimed at fixing up me, not fixing up Dad. But no, I don't have any problems. Dad is a bit of a hard one, you know. He just wants blood, you know. Can't somebody work out how to give it to him? We've got the problem. We're the sickos. Now, this is the judo throw. The life is flowing, and as our darkness increases, it's like a judo flow. Anybody here does judo? Okay, so do you use their power? Use the power's flying, kaboom. That's how darkness works. Where's the power coming from? Zoe, Jesus Christ. You're telling me that God puts up with us abusing the flow of his life to create mess? Yes, I am. Because you don't have life in yourself. And they sit by and let this happen, and they work from the bottom up round indirectly, sort of left-handed way, right brain way, and they don't do it directly. Yeah, that's right. Well, I could teach them a thing or two. We could sort this out in no time at all. Yes, you could. And you'd have nobody loving you. Oh, you mean they want people to love them? Yes. And they're going to get us to the point where we love back. That's the game. Come right back before creation. They love each other and they want us loving back. We want saying, hello, Dad. Will you get there by Bruce's methods of sorting it out? No. So, life lived in darkness makes the life of Christ put through my blender makes death. This is a shocker. Now, it gets worse. Can it get worse? Yes, it does. And this is again what we've done. So we're now lost in our minds, and we've got our own structures for getting back, and we create mess. And so what we've got to do, we've got to create an internal self-referential method called religion. And religion is saying, well, there is some sort of God and we've got to get back. We've got to do something. And then that's another layer of darkness. Well, why is it a layer of darkness? Well, because we're so blind we do not even know we're being held together by them. We're so blind we do not know we're included in the pre-creation purpose. We're so blind we do not even know they've given us loving kindness. And we want to go on about sins and things. So, let's look at Jeremiah. My people have committed two evils. They've forsaken me, the fountain of living waters, the fountain of living waters. Jesus says, when the spirits come and you start getting sorted out of you will flow rivers of Zoe, rivers of this life. You've ignored me, the fountain of living waters, and you built yourself stuff that can't hold water. It's pretty terrible. Isaiah, it's a shocker. Look, all you who kindle the fire, you make your own light, circle yourself with sparks, walk in your own light, the sparks you've kindled. This you shall have from me, you will lie down in torment. The lying down in torment isn't Dad taking a stick to you. The lying down in torment is Dad saying, you want to go that way? You go that way until it's coming out your nose and you wake up. Because it doesn't bring life, it brings death. Remember, life lived in darkness makes death, and religion is a great darkness. It's founded on lies. Jesus says, take heed that the light which is in you is not darkness. If your eye's bad, your whole body will be full of darkness if you can't see. And the Pharisees, blind leaders of the blind. A false reference point, the false light of religion, is a great darkness. This is pretty heavy stuff, guys. Because it affects me, has affected my life, affects you, and affects humanity. And we're just calling from John, and John says this right at the beginning. He says the light's shining in the darkness. It's there. And we know darkness, life in darkness causes death. And we know that our response to the person of Jesus can have darkness in our head, and we can have a self-created, self-referential light called religion, which is a great darkness. So what's that going to do? They're going to come and give us life. They're saying, look, as someone said earlier, you've got Father, Son and Spirit in you, and yet Jesus is the only one who knows Dad. You've got a great darkness. Jesus is going to become one of these people, and he's going to penetrate this darkness in his own body. He's going to fix it up in his own body, and then he's going to share that with us from the inside. So that darkness can go, and we can start seeing Dad as Dad is, because Dad's good. Isn't that beautiful? Now, he gets to the point, just before we nail him to the tree, he says, the evil one is coming, and he has nothing in me. He has penetrated through the darkness. Now, we're going to cover this in more detail, but just listen to this. Jesus penetrated through his own darkness to meet himself and Dad and the Spirit inside himself. Play that one. Jesus, in our blindness and darkness, has penetrated our blindness to meet himself and Dad and Spirit in himself. In other words, he's healing the split in humanity. Oh my goodness. Can you see the work of Christ? Not paying off Molech, sorting out our mess. So, we're not only sustained, we're given these relationships, and sharing in relationships in personhood is an advance on being made and sustained, and Jesus gives us this. So, love has given life. Life needs to be lived in love, and life lived in love is life. And that's enough for this next phase. Thank you.